So my name is Kasia. I am a STEM teacher at Mariana Azuela Elementary School in Chicago. I teach kindergarten through 8th grade. And I was telling Sydney actually before we started that this is my little, like, I would say baby, because I was actually lucky enough to be in a pilot program when before Apple released Swift Playgrounds back in 2017. And I was like a little cohort of teachers that tried it out and gave them feedback and went back and forth. And they actually listened to my ideas and other teachers' ideas. And it's pretty cool. I got to fly to Cupertino a few times to do different projects around Everyone Can Code. So it's been a pretty cool time. And Everyone Can Code is on an app we're going to be using today is Swift Playground, so make sure you have that downloaded. But we're going to jump right in. So we're actually going to play a quick game. And all you need is any object. It doesn't have to be anything specific. Like I have a stapler like on my desk right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to find a small object. It can be a phone, a cup, a pencil, whatever you have handy. And now hide it somewhere in a room that we're in, just anywhere in a room. So like put it somewhere, like doesn't have to be far, just put it somewhere. I'm going to take it and put it maybe right here. So go ahead and do that, put an item somewhere, hide it. And then now that we hit it, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to open notes on my iPad, and I am going to, oops, sorry, I thought it was full screen. There we go. And I am going to write the directions for me to be able to find my stapler. So I'm going to go into my iPad right now, and I'm going to go to notes. And in the notes, I'm going to start a new note on top. Now you can do this on a piece of paper. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to write the directions, how to find the object from where I'm sitting. So I'm going to try to write it line by line, and each line is going to be a direction. So go ahead and do that right now. And we'll come back later to this note. So what do I do? Turn. Degrees. Right. Left. Straight. Okay, I wrote mine. And then we're going to come back to this note in a little bit. Okay. So let's quickly go over today's agenda and what we're going to be doing. Hi, Maria. Thank you for joining us. Since you just joined, I'm going to give you a quick instruction of what we just did. So I asked everybody to pick like an item, anything, like it can be a phone, a cup, whatever, and just hide it somewhere in the room and write the directions how to get there from where you're sitting. So my directions looked like this. Turn around, stand up, walk, turn right, look straight. So just hide something in your room because we're going to use it in a little bit for something that we're doing. Okay, so today's objectives, we just did Let's Play. We're going to talk about how coding is around us, and we're going to look at Swift's curriculum. or Swift. What is Swift? And we're going to look at Everyone Can Code curriculum. We're going to try a lesson, and we're going to talk about how you can implement it with your students. All right, so with that, I'm going to ask you to share with us in the chat, how has coding affected your daily routine? So something that you do every day, how has coding affected your daily routine? And you can write that in the chat. Like, what is something that is coded that affects your daily routine? So for me, for example, I love ordering Starbucks, and I have to use an app to pick it from the menu and decide what I want. And then I press pay, so I have my card linked in there as well. So that's encrypted. Hi, Mia. So that's encrypted in there. So if you can just quickly write, how has coding affected your daily routine? So I use Starbucks app to get Starbucks most days. Today, I made my own coffee, but most days I do. And then if you can write it in chat, that would be wonderful. Anybody? Jorge, thank you for sharing. Could you come off mute and share how has coding affected your daily life or your routine?
Yes. Hi. Hello, everybody. Well, actually, I don't know if it is related, okay, what you are talking about, but, you know, for me, I am always, you know, thinking, you know, in the morning that I have to take my daughter, you know, at school in the morning, and I have to, you know, to take some shortcut, okay, in order to you know, to comply, to achieve that goal, okay? Because I am thinking, okay, in my daughter as a parent, and I am as well, you know, thinking as a teacher, you know, and because I like to be on time, but it's, you know, my daily routine might be affected, you know, if I don't think in something, you know, more solid, okay, that I have to fix, okay, the problem. Now I have been talking to my wife, okay, in this year, you know, just in case, okay, if we go back, okay, to the in person, okay, the school, and I am telling her, you know, that affect me because I need to you know, to set up the room, you know, before starting, you know,
So not to interrupt you, but like, so for example, like when you say taking her to school and think of a route, so you have to think of a fast route to get to school, and maybe cutting through, like figuring out what's the best route with the lights, right? Like, so
yeah, for example, the alleys.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know, believe it or not, okay, it affects, okay, my daily routine.
Well, of course.
So we are, and thank you for bringing that to the table, because, you know, we are not robots, right? So we are human, and we are always, you know, facing, you know, simple things, okay? So, and that's why, you know, I'm sharing this.
Yeah, of course. No, those are all valid points. And I see Mia said something about she is on the phone. The first thing when I pick up in the morning, toothbrush is connected to an app on my phone. Your toothbrush, that's a smart toothbrush you have. And Sydney mentioned Venmo has become essential, especially for college students. Yep, paying people every day. A lot of people use it every day to pay other people. I take my dogs for daily walks before doing anything else. But you probably have to order dog food. You probably ordered it online during COVID, right? So coding, the shipment process probably was affecting, you know, how fast that came to your house. So coding is around us, like it's every day in most of the things that we do. So, oh, there we go. So today we're going to talk about Everyone Can Code. And with an iPad and Swift Playgrounds, Everyone Can Code is a curriculum that helps students new to coding build essential problem solving and critical thinking skills. So it's not just about like, oh, I know how to program and code, but also about problem solving. This curriculum used to actually be mostly like, in the beginning, it was pretty heavy on like the coding part, and now it's pretty heavy on like the steps of learning it, being able to think of how it applies to the world around us and how you can actually connect it to things that you're doing every day. So whether students are just getting started with Swift Playgrounds and iPad or ready to code on the Mac, to use Xcode on a Mac, Apple provides everything educators need to bring code into the classroom. So what their approach is that it should be fun and engaging. It shouldn't be like stressful. It should be flexible and accessible to anybody. And you're actually learning how to program in real code. So it's not like, I know I started my coding path with code.org and like blocks, which is great, but how many years can you do block-based coding, right? Like by the time they're in 7th grade, they've seen it for 5 or 6 years, it's too much. So when this actually came out, I was so happy because my kids were programming for like 3 years already, and I was ready to like bring it to the next level, but without overwhelming anybody. So in Swift Playgrounds, you actually are using a language called Swift. So you might have heard of language like JavaScript, HTML, Python, Ruby. All of these are languages that coders use. And Swift is a language that Apple developed to program. And a lot of apps actually are used now with Swift. Now what's really cool is when my husband is a software engineer. So when he was actually programming, he was learning how to do Swift at the same time that I was like learning how to do this. This was brand new. And I actually knew more than he did. And I mean, I'm not a expert programmer by any means, but I knew like he was trying to do loops or something. And I was like, no, that's not how you do it. This is how you do it. So I was able to teach him something based from this curriculum to somebody who does this for their living, which was pretty cool. So today we're going to explore activities from Everyone Can Code curriculum. Now, the curriculum includes Swift Playgrounds app and also these books that you see on the right. Now, there is Everyone Can Code puzzles and Everyone Can Code adventures. So when I started this, it used to be Everyone Can Code 1, 2, and 3. These 2 books are new. The adventures book was actually released like a month ago. And the puzzles book was released in December. So they're brand new, even though they still have similar content what was in the other one, the approach changed to what I was talking about, learning, trying, applying, and connecting, which we're gonna do today. And you can see like it was similar with Everyone Can Create. There are student books and there are teacher books. So the white books are teacher guides, and they actually include everything that the student has, and then they have the teacher guide. So they'll have like, they're kind of like 2 books in one, versus the other ones were kind of, the student books were more detailed. Here you have everything. You have what the student sees and then extra for the teacher to learn as well as they're learning, and see solutions to these puzzles as well. Because let's be honest, once it gets pretty hard, like down the line, you need some help because maybe there's a kid that goes really fast and they figure it out, but you haven't yet. So you need those answers. So what we're going to see as well from the curriculum is they have also these supplemental resources, which I actually use with students. They have Swift Coding Club kits for coding clubs after school. They also have app showcase guide that help you plan your own app design challenges. And I used it with my students this past year to create apps. They actually prototyped app. They didn't actually build an app with code, but they prototyped it in Keynote by using these journals. So today we're gonna go and look at the Everyone Can Code Puzzles Teacher Book. So we're going to open it together. And if you have it downloaded, now will be the time to open it. And I'm going to go to my iPad and open it together. So the book will be found in the Books app. And if you haven't downloaded yet, all you need to write is Everyone Can Code, and these books are going to pop up. Now these are in my library, but if you go to the bookstore, you can find them there, and they are free. So I'm going to go ahead and open the white book that says Everyone Can Code Puzzles. Now also, this book comes in Spanish. So for our Spanish speakers, for teachers, that comes in Spanish. The app also comes in many languages. When you have the language set on your iPad for Spanish, you can have, I had my brand new student for Puerto Rico use Swift Playgrounds the same time that everybody was using, and she wasn't losing anything because she had the book downloaded, so she could read as I'm going through it, and then she could use the app in Spanish, which I think is great. We even had Korean exchange students come and visit us a few years ago, and they were able to participate in the lesson because we changed the language to Korean on the iPad. So I'm gonna head and click on Everyone Can Create, or Everyone Can Code Puzzles Teacher Guide. And it gets you, the first page is this one. I'm really proud of this picture that they have included because it's actually my students from my classroom. When Apple came a few years ago to Chicago to do the keynote, they ended up doing a photo shoot with my students. And this is my student from 3 years ago and my other kids that are still at the school. So on the top, I'm going to show you how to navigate through this book. On the top, there is the dots with the lines. And when I click on that, that's going to show me the table of contents. So I'm going to click on that. And similarly to Everyone Can Create books, these books are divided into chapters. And if I click on each of these dots, it will get me to separate chapters. Now I'm going to start with the introduction. So I'm going to tap on introduction. And then I swipe with my finger to learn about what the book is. Now, do I read the whole thing with my students? No, but do I read it to myself before? Yes. So it talks to you about Swift Playgrounds, and they'll also give you a link for the app right here. And like I mentioned before, you can download it on the iPad and also on the MacBook. It shows you how to use the book. Now this book includes about 40 to 45 hours of coding that you can do with your students. Now, have I ever finished the entire book with my class? No. Right? It's just the reality. I don't have that much time, but I've gone through the most important concepts with them. And wherever the semester ends and we stop, that's what they learned. That's where we come to. And about these lessons. So before I go on to that, I also want to mention what age group I use this with. So I use this with middle school students. I use it with 7th graders, but anybody from, depending on the level of your students, anybody from 4th, 5th grade up could use this. Obviously it gets a little bit more challenging down the road, but you can start it with 4th graders or 5th graders. Apple also has Everyone Can Code for younger students, and those are separate books, but this workshop is focused on Swift Playgrounds. The younger students don't use Swift Playgrounds. They use third-party apps that Apple partnered with. So how are these lessons formatted? So like I mentioned, we're gonna follow 4 sections: learn, try, apply, and connect. And in each session, or each section, there is, it goes through like learn, you first learn about the coding concept. Then you get to actually try it in Swift Playgrounds. You think about how you can apply it into other things other than just that Swift Playgrounds app. And then finally, you connect it to everyday situations. So it goes through that. And then it gives you a pacing guide. Now, this is by all means just a guide, not a, to go by. It's not like to all be all. And then talks about accessibility features that you can use with students. So obviously there's a lot of content. I'm not going to read through all that. And then it shows you, okay, before we dive into lessons, let's get started. So you should have the Swift Playgrounds app downloaded. And then I'm going to look at that in a few minutes. We're actually going to look at that in a few minutes. It talks about coding clubs, and the first lesson is commands. So now we're gonna go back for a second to, you can have your book open. Oops, where are we? We're gonna talk about our learn portion. So in the beginning of the session, I asked you to hide an object and write down directions to get to that object. So in my case, I hid a stapler, and I had to write specific set of instructions to get to that stapler. So what I would like you to do right now is go back to that note and think about, were your instructions correct? Did you get to where you needed to go to? Did you write them detailed? So I'm gonna do that right now and quickly try. So let's see. Turn around 180 degrees. Stand up. Walk 2 steps. 1, 2, turn right, and it should be straight. I found it. Okay, so did you find your item? Did you write your directions in detail? Let me know. You can come off mute right now and let me know. Not all at once. No, just kidding. Anybody was successful, or maybe they need to think that their directions needed to be a little bit more detailed?
I think mine was pretty clear. I hid my wallet under my pillow, so I had to make some clarifications with my last couple of steps as to like between reaching down and reaching under.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think it was pretty accurate.
So this is actually an activity straight from the book with the first lesson on commands. Now it looks a little different because it's in person, so the kids actually have to hide an item, and then they write directions, and then their friend, whoever they pick, gets to find that item from their seat. So they have to write detailed instructions, and somebody in the classroom needs to find it. And then by that, we know whether the instructions were detailed or not. A lot of times they'll write walk forward, but they won't write how many steps. So making sure that those are detailed. Now, why are we talking about this? Because the first coding concept is a command. A command is a direction. A command is giving directions, and coding is giving directions or commands. So when you give a direction, you give a command. So I always try to use in a classroom, use command and direction, kind of interchange it a lot in the beginning so that the kids can see that those two words are synonyms in coding. A command is a specific action for the computer to perform. And commands must be clear and explicit, because a computer is not going to understand when you say just, not directly what you want him to do. If you just say turn, doesn't know which way to turn. You have to say turn which direction. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to actually try this in Swift Playgrounds. Now I'm actually speeding up the lesson. Obviously in the classroom we'll do it a little bit longer. So I'm going to go into my iPad and explain how I would try this lesson in Swift. Let me go. Okay. Any questions so far? So we've done the commands lesson. Now in the book, it first shows you the student, what the student would see in there. Try, apply, and then shows you the teacher. It's like the same, but more detailed. So what we did is we talked about learning. So we learned about commands. Usually you would activate prior knowledge, maybe do pair and share. You can do your vocab wall. You don't have to, these are just ideas. So the next part is to actually trying it, and it tells you exactly, like this gives you detailed steps of what you do. I'm not going to read through it. We're actually just going to go into Swift to practice it. Okay. So how am I going to get to it? I'm going to go ahead and click on the white bird, or the white background orange birdie. That's the Swift icon. Now when you open this, you will probably not see anything. Oops, closed. You'll probably not see anything in my playgrounds. So because the app is downloaded, but the playgrounds are not. Playgrounds are kind of like different activities through here. So you need to download Learn to Code 1. Where do you find that? When you see on the bottom, it says More Playgrounds or See All, you're going to tap on where it says See All. Now in here, it shows you playgrounds made by Apple for this app. It shows you different challenges. It shows you starting points and blank playgrounds. And then it shows you third-party playgrounds. Playgrounds that they partner with robotics companies to be able to program in Swift and use these robots. So as I would like you to click on Learn to Code 1 and click Get, because it might take a second for you to download it. So make sure you click on Get and Learn to Code 1, okay? And as that's downloading, I'm gonna quickly talk to you about these playgrounds. Now, Learn to Code, like I said, these are all Apple, and challenges are actually used a lot during the apply section. Challenges and the starting points. They have the students use these during there's learn, try, apply, learn, try, apply, connect. So during the apply portion, they make you try different playgrounds to see how you can apply what you're learning. Okay, so I hope it downloaded for you. And it looks like this. Now in a classroom, a little tip, because I have the same students using the same iPad, I have them download multiple, and then I have them hold this, and then I have them rename it, and they just put their name because there's no login or anything, so they just rename it. So Learn to Code 1, and I would write Kasia, and it would rename it and keep it like that. So I'm gonna tap on it. And the first thing that happens when you open it, you get the loading. It's loading, it's thinking. And each lesson comes with this little introduction, which should load in a second. So the introduction is basically like a review of whatever coding concept you learned. This never takes this long. Again, it might be my Wi-Fi here. There it is. Okay. So it's like magically appeared when I needed it to. So this just goes through the concept again. What does it mean to do command? So I'm just going to tap on the button on the bottom. Have you ever followed the recipe to bake something delicious? And I actually project it on the screen and read this with the students. Or follow the instructions to assemble something cool. You need to follow the instructions in the correct order, or you end up with something unexpected. Writing code allows you to create your own set of instructions for your device to carry out. Your goal is to figure out which instructions in which order will result in something great. You'll start by writing commands to move a character named Byte around the puzzle world performing tasks. For example, you'll tell Byte to move forward, notice, or collect gem. Notice this mashed together words. Code is punctuated and spaced like human languages, but commands have no spaces between words. So do you notice lowercase letter, and then the next word, collect gem, is uppercase? That's called camel case, like kind of like a camel humpback or hump. And then there is a parentheses always after a command. So that's just like strict, like they're learning a different language. This is a syntax of that language. So I'm going to go ahead and click Start Coding. Now, once this opens, it's loading on the right side, but on the left side are all my directions and the goal for this specific activity for this page. And on the right side is my character, Byte, and his gem. Now let me make sure you can hear me. Can you guys hear me still? Are you able to hear me? Okay. I just wanted for you to see that right here, there's like this music. It's like to have it, there's sound effects. So you can do all those things there. For right now, I'm gonna turn it off just because it's too much. So as you're looking at this, before I even go ahead and like read the instructions, I want you to notice different parts. So like yes, there is a sound effect here, and on the top, you see these arrows. Now these will take us back. If I click on this back arrow, it will take us back to the lesson on just the commands, what we just did. And then this will take us to the next one. The plus,
Kasia,
yes.
we can still hear the background music and the sound effects,
Okay.
if that's what you wanted. I just sent you a little message.
Okay, let me switch back. I just wanted to show you. This should work.
Oh, never mind.
Can you hear me now fine? Yes? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So if I click on the three dots, it just shows you different tools to reset, to share, to take a screenshot, to take a PDF of this page. Don't worry about all those different features. And then when I tap on this little down arrow, this just shows me all the lessons and commands. So as you go through this, they get a little bit more challenging, but Apple thinks that if you actually complete, oh, there it is. Sorry. Apple thinks if you complete these four that are in orange, you have the basics to knowing commands. The other four are like additional ones that your fast kids will go through really fast. But these four are like the initial ones that you really need to know. So if the kids are struggling with these four, they're not ready to move on to the next coding concept, which again brings you the emphasis like you don't have to do all these activities, but these are the ones that you should be able to do. So you can see they correspond with what's in the actual sort of playgrounds. Just want to make sure to show you that. All right, let's get rid of my friend here. All right. So the goal of this lesson, use Swift commands to tell Byte to move forward and collect gem. Your character Byte loves to collect gems but can't do it alone. In this first puzzle, you'll need to write Swift commands to move Byte across the puzzle world to collect the gem. Look for the gem in the puzzle world. Enter the correct combination of move forward and collect gem commands. Press run my code. Now, what I can do is with my two fingers, I can zoom in here. I can turn around, like see all these cool features so that I can see how to get there. So each block is one step. So I'm gonna count it out loud. 1, 2, 3. Now notice how that pointer is very helpful to have because you can point out to the steps. So how many times is he gonna move forward? 1, 2, 3. Yes, that's correct. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tap, and it's already actually selected. And notice what happens in the bottom. These two commands that I am asked to use pop up. So all I do actually, I can type it, but I'm gonna just tap on it and look, it just shows up. So 1, 2, 3. You can't write 3 in the parentheses. That's not coding. So you have to actually have 3 of these until you later learn about loops and repeating it. Then you can, there's a different way to do it. And then if you really wanted to type it, on the bottom, do you see the arrow going up? So if I tap on that, you get the keyboard. So if I started to type move forward, I can do that. Move, and then if I want to write forward, okay? And here's a tip to get the parentheses. If I actually hold and pull on the corner of J, watch me do it. If I pull on a corner and bring it in the middle, it will actually show you 2 parentheses. So the keyboard is made for Swift. But I don't need it 3 times. Or 4 times. I just need it 3 times. And then what is he going to do at the end? He's going to collect the gem. So I'm going to write collect gem. Now I'm ready to run my code. But I want to see how he's stepping. So that little dial over here, if I tap on it, I can click on step through my code. I'm gonna make sure that's selected. because I'm gonna see him walk. See how it's highlighting? Move forward, move forward, move forward, and then collect gem. So kids, a lot of kids, excuse me, will wanna do it like, well, I can't tap it now, but will wanna run through it. So I make them go slowly in the beginning. Later when they're good, sure, like by all means, go fast. But in the beginning, it's definitely helpful for them to step through it. So did we get through that? Did you guys get to put those commands? So congratulations, you write your first lines of Swift code. I'm gonna go to the next page. So in here, I would like you to actually take a minute and try this one yourself. So you're trying to go through. If you have any questions, you can come off mute and ask me, but I would like you to try this yourself. Now, a lot of times too, I'll teach kids to take a screenshot. Let's say they don't really know the steps. So if I take the screenshot, I use my circle, the main button on the face and the power button at the same time. And if I take a screenshot and I tap on it, I can actually mark up the steps. So I can think of how many times does he need to go forward. Let's see, he goes 1 time forward, times, okay? So 1 and 2, so twice forward. Then he's gonna have to turn left. So he turns left. And then how many times does he go forward? 1, 2, and then he's gonna grab that gem. So I have the markup. Now this is an easy puzzle, but it does get more complicated. So it's helpful, that tool is helpful for some kids to just write it out on here. And I'll have them save it or not, just practice. So I would have him move forward, turn left. I have, if I'm not sure what to do next, I can always step through my code and have him get to 1, 2, turn left, and now I'll have him move forward, and collect gem, and then he'll start from the beginning and do it again. Okay. If I want to change a character, all the kids like doing that. So if I double tap on Bite, it disappears. And then there's 2 other characters that you can pick from to use. I like Bite, but they all have different personalities. And also, I just learned that Apple made them all gender neutral, so that it's not like, you know, a girl or a boy, they're all gender neutral, and it was for purpose. I forget the name of the other 2, but I think that's pretty interesting, pretty neat. So we would go to the next page. And we don't have time to do all of these puzzles, but I just want you to see an idea of how this gets, you know, more challenging each time. And they're learning the coding, but it is important to read these directions. So I don't even know if I read the last one, just because this is like embedded in my brain because I've done it a million times. But it's very important to read the directions. So in the beginning of the school year, I read the directions out loud with the students, just because to like get that in them to do it. Because they'll just want to go through, but sometimes they'll not miss something that it tells you. They'll be like, wait, what's toggle switch? And they don't know because they didn't read it in here. So that's the only thing. It is, some reading is involved in here. Any questions? No? Okay. So I am gonna go back into my Keynote quickly. Oops, no, I do not want to go all the way to the back. There we go. Try. Okay. So now the next portion is apply. So we're following that format of what's in the book. So in the apply section, it's now time to apply what we have learned about commands outside Byte's world. So we are going to meet MeBot. Now MeBot is actually a robot. MeBot Dances is a playground that can be used on the iPad or with a connected device robot. Let me show you this guy. Okay, this is MeBot. Now, I actually have this robot in my classroom. I've gotten it through Donors Choose. I have 4 of them. So what's really cool is MeBot is an actual robot that has its own language, like in its own app, but Apple, like I mentioned, partnered with different companies that already have robots, and they created playgrounds that kids can be learning Swift and they can be applying that to different robots. So I'm sure a lot of us have heard of Dash Robot or Parrot Drones, Spheros, and MeBot is another one of those robots. So what we're going to do is we are going to look at the playground, which MeBot has. So I'm going to go back to my iPad, and then I'm going to exit out of Learn to Code 1 by clicking on the X in the top left corner. And I'm back to here. Now, right now, all of you only have one playground. If you're going to click on See All, I'm going to ask you to download. If you scroll down, see how there's like Lego Mindstorms, Parrots, Spheros, MeBot. And you're going to click on MeBot 2.0 Dances, and you're going to click on Get. Now, what's really cool with this one is you don't actually have to have the physical robot. So yes, it's cool to have the robot dance with students and act out the code. But with this one, you don't actually have to have the robot because it acts out in the actual through here. It acts out in the actual screen on the iPad. So we're going to try that right now. So once it downloads, it should be over here. So as this opens up for most of you, it might take a second to download. I'm going to read through these instructions. Hi, my name is MeBot 2.0. I'm a foldable, programmable dancing robot. In this playground, I'll show you how to program my dance moves. From basic steps to creating moves with code, you also learn how to create personalized dance routines. Now, this is all in Swift. The Learn to Code 1 playground is a prerequisite for this playground. You'll be able to apply what you learned in this playground. Now, you don't have to complete all Learn to Code to do this. So it shows you, like, if you do have a MeBot, you can connect it through Bluetooth, but you don't obviously have to do that. So right now, it tells you connected, see a dance partner, blah, blah, blah. But then it says, tap Run My Code after MeBot 2.0 successfully connected and see how it dances. So right now, there's a command written in here. You notice what the command is? It tells him to dance. So let's see what happens when I press Run My Code. Now, dance is already a pre-programmed command that Swift and MeBot put in here, but we're going to actually be able to create our own dance. That's a crazy dance. I think there's music to it too, but I have it turned off. That's a long dance. So while he's finishing this up, if I, oh, there it is, he's done. I can go to the next page. And here, use Swift commands to tell MeBot to perform dance moves. Use at least 8 dance moves, 4 of which should be different. In the first lesson, you'll need to write Swift commands to make MeBot dance, enter dance move commands in a sequence you like. Sequence is just a number of steps. Don't forget that the dance move you create should meet the goal. So it should have 8 and 4 of them should be different. So if I tap here right now, different types of commands are going to pop up. Before in Swift Playgrounds and Learn to Code, we had move forward and collect gem and turn left. There's so many different ones that you can have them do. So all you do is just swipe. So go ahead and try a dance routine. So I'm going to try to follow this. I'm going to say cheer, cheer, happy, forward, backward, turn left, turn right, greeting. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 4 are different. Okay, so all I'm going to do is click run my code. Now, when you actually do have this robot, it is pretty cool because he gets to do this and the kids get to program them and see it live. But this is still, they still see what they're doing is their code. Now, why is this important? Because they're seeing that they're applying their knowledge from Swift that they just learned from working with bytes to something different, a different playground, different aspect of learning. Okay. Did we get to try out? And usually when we have in-person workshops like this, you know, I obviously have the robot and it's really fun to see. I mean, adults love playing with it, so imagine kids doing it. So I'm gonna go back. Actually, I have a picture of one of my students with the robot programming it using Swift Playgrounds. Okay. So the last part of the process, so we went through learn, try, apply, and the last part is called connect. And in the book, I'm going to go back to the book. We did apply. And the last part is called connect. And in this section, students are asked to connect the concept of commands to their environment. And it kind of brings it back to the question I had in the beginning, like how to use technology or apps, how to use, what was the question I asked? How do you use, how has coding affected your daily routine? So how does coding affect your life? How do commands affect your life? So we have a discussion usually in class, and then it goes to the next lesson. We have a discussion. This is the part where they get to like kind of reflect, and maybe I have a question for them. I have CISA open, and they'll just respond in like one sentence question to, or an answer to, like, what did you use? You know, what kind of device that you used that had commands? So we try to reinstate that language that we were learning and bring it back full circle. And then it goes into the next lesson, and it's the same sort of, but it is the same learning process. So you have learn, then you do try, then the apply. In this case, let me see if it's MeBot in this case, and then connect. But as you get like later on in the puzzle, like it doesn't have to be MeBot. Like there's other things when we went into variables and types, I think they make like it tells you different ways to try it. And then in apply it, it gives you idea. I'm going really fast, but it gives you like different playgrounds that they can use to apply it. So it's not just MeBot, it's many different ways. So with that, I know this is a lot of content, but I hope I gave you a little glimpse into like what Swift Playground is, what Everyone Can Code is, and how that works in a classroom. I know we have remote learning. We've had remote learning, so this is not maybe the easiest to do it, especially since the kids may not have iPads with them. But whenever you're back to school and can do this, like this is my favorite curriculum to teach because it's so well written and kids respond to it. I have English language learners and special ed students that can really do well in this and may not necessarily do well in other subjects. So if you can tell me right now, get off mute, you don't need to write it in the chat. If you can just let us know, how can you use this in the classroom? So Jorge, you want to go off mute and just kind of share what you wrote?
Okay, sure. And first, I had a question, okay, when you were, explaining and about the commands, okay, that you were mentioning. And like you said at the beginning, okay, that those commands, okay, need to be very, very expressive, clearly and detailed, okay, in order, that they work 100%. Because as an educator, that not all the students, okay, have the skill to understand commands, okay, that, at first time, at first attempt, okay, that you ask them, okay, to do something, right? And that's why this lesson will help the student, okay, to learn, to try, to apply, and connect it. So they need to practice it. They need to do, they need to do this, okay, very, very, continuously. And on the other hand, I had another question that related, okay, with this app, okay, I cannot imagine students and kids, in order to use this. I don't know, I haven't seen, students, okay, I don't know, your experience, I don't know how do they feel.
Yeah, no, students have been like, they really love using this. I have been teaching this for 4 years, and I always get really good feedback. Obviously, is every student gonna love coding? No. Does every student love math? Or language arts? But it is in a fun way, and they definitely like all the different learning portions. So I kind of skimmed through the activity today, but like they love getting out of their seat and trying to find, where that item is of their friend. It's kind of like a game. So every learning concept that we do in coding, like commands, functions, loops, there's always kinetic activity attached to it. So it's not just like they're sitting in front of the iPad. It's always like they have to get up, they have to do something, like, and it involves other skills, which makes them remember that concept well. So it's like command is not just like a vocab they have to learn, but they actually act it out. They can see it come to life. They see themselves walking around and giving each other's commands of how to get somewhere. So they do remember that. And actually, like, kids are like, it's amazing how fast and how good they are at learning something new. So even a lot of times it takes more time for adults even to, to figure this out, and the kids kind of zoom through. Will they get stuck? Yes, but that's okay. That's a process of learning. You don't learn something the first time you do it. And if you make mistakes in front of them, that's even better, because you show them that it's okay to make mistakes and you can fix it. In the code, if you do something wrong, it'll tell you, oops, try again. And it'll give you hints and tips on how to fix it. So it's built with knowing that you're not going to get it right the first time, and that's totally okay.
Okay, what is that percentage, okay, that you, for example, if you have 25 students, okay, how many of them do you think that they can develop, okay, this skill? And
I would say most of them, like, they get through Learn to Code 1, probably 95% of students can do that whole curriculum in my classroom.
yes, and I believe you, because this is an incentive, okay, because the kids, they like it.
Yeah, definitely.
And they are learning. So they are not playing, because
right.
We need to distinguish, okay, right? There are some times, okay, that they, they need to relax and they need to play, right? But they are learning.
And kind of like I said in the beginning, this is not all about learning how to code. Yes, that's great, but you're being problem solver. You're trying to go through problems and fix it. You're using critical thinking skills. You're learning through playing, which is essentially like,
yes.
My husband, like, like I mentioned, is a software engineer, and he always says, because this is an innovation lab, he always says that, like, he's like playing at work. I'm like, how are you playing at work? Because he's like trying to figure something out and learning while you do it, is the whole process, which, like, when you're having fun doing something, like, that's the best learning you have.
So there is a theory in education that says that kids, they learn by doing. And and you know what? And as well, we can say that they learn as well, by playing
Right.
something. Okay, and that's thank you for your comment, Kasia.
You're welcome. Anytime. If you have any questions. And Maria, I like what you commented that you practice with your students, especially dancing and creating puzzles. They love playing with MeBot and creating dances. I mean, and we're talking about 7th graders, where it's kind of hard to impress them. So yeah, definitely. This is like one of my favorite curriculums ever that I've ever taught because it's so well written. And the people actually that create it are educators. It's not somebody that doesn't know anything about coding. Everybody that is on the team has been an educator that creates this content. So
Do you dance with them sometimes?
oh yeah, when we learn, and then with the little ones, I know this is a little bit off topic, but with the little ones, there is a curriculum too. Everyone can code, early learners. And with the little ones, like there's like where we talk about sequence. We learn and we do a Macarena in the classroom, or we do, whatever dance, like a routine dance that they do. They'll teach me like their dances, like in Hispanic culture, they'll do like there's different like sequence dancing that you guys dance at parties or whatever. So they'll do that, and we're learning that this is sequence and that is a coding concept. So a lot of fun, a lot of different activities.
So I have a question. So are you the only one that teach STEM in Azuela?
Yes. So we have 2 other coding or 2 other computer teachers. One is mostly working with Google Suite, and she does a lot of like projects with that. And then another one is she does a lot of like AutoCAD, kind of more of the design portion. I'm STEM, so I'm more like robotics, building, engineering, coding.
Okay, I your faces, sounds familiar to me because.
Maybe you've been to our school,
Well, I used to be a substitute teacher, and you know what? Every other years, I work 1 year subbing and 1 year full time, 1 year sub, and then but I like Azuela, and I have been there. And at what level do you teach?
Kindergarten through 8th grade.
Oh, my respect.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, my respect, Kasia.
Yeah,
and I think at the Sydney as well, she teaches, about 5th grade or 6th grade.
So with that said, it is time. It is almost 3 o'clock. And if you need some ideas on Twitter, if you look up Everyone Can Code, there's so many different ideas what teachers around the world are doing. And that's how I use a lot to share with what my kids are doing, but I also get ideas from other people. So I know this was a lot of information, but I hope you got a glimpse into that curriculum. And I hope you get to try it, even by yourself, even if you don't get to implement it with students, which I hope you do. You don't have to do the whole curriculum. You can just try a few lessons. There's connections to math and language arts in there. You just have to look through it and spend a little bit more time looking at it.